This is your WWE news of a Friday morning. Yes. In the past months or few years, the establishment or the powers that bees we're talking about military conscription, the draft on military service. Some countries still have them in their legislation, and some have temporarily suspended or probably abolished it, paving the way many years ago to volunteers and a more professional defence, which was their aim. But mind you, taking for example a particular article of the Italian Constitution, I don't remember the article itself, but more or less, everyone in their capabilities and means have to defend the nation at whatever costs. And there's a bit of a hypocrisy these days, especially in the West, when we're invaded by illegals. They just let them in, and they don't use law enforcement agencies or even the military itself to crack down on this phenomenon, controlling the borders, because even it says they're even controlling the borders. And despite how, in recent years, wherever you live in what country, your government, whether it's past or present, how they behave towards, how do you say, their citizens in a certain way, is absolutely appalling and tyrannic. Then afterwards they talk about we have to rearm Europe, we have to introduce conscription because we have to go to war with the Russians, and every Tom, Dick and Harry in this world. And obviously people, Joe Public, and for the majority of them, says, we don't want war, but their governments are pushing for war. And they create certain situations like false flags to antagonize the population, to create a boogeyman or an enemy, which they voluntarily, like sheep, walk into their massacre at the end of the day. One should ask, is it really worth fighting for this country the way it is? No. The way things are, society are, no. In my modest opinion, modern society can even perish. Because how the powers that be, as I mentioned before, how they treat their citizens in an appalling way, and always violating the Constitution. The type of set of rules which even citizens and those who govern should go by, which most of the time they don't. And one day they will call you to fight a war, foreign war, which you probably don't know about and probably you don't really care about. Goes, what? It goes, you can say yourself, who gives a fuck? It's not my problem, it's their problems. In a certain way, it's not your problem, and you can get, and you don't give a fuck about it, because sincerely, I don't give a fuck about it. But the problem is that war, the consequences, socially and economically, it has a effect, a domino effect on back home in a certain way. It's not because those people who they went to fight are the blame. It's those who want to fight them. With the current situation in the Middle East, Israel and Iran, they said the Iranians attacked them first, which is a load of bullshit. And it's they say, oh, it's the Israelis antagonizing Americans. Americans just turn around and say, who gives a fuck? See, American society, and globally speaking, Israel, economically speaking, the Jews, they have a very important economic influence. They're the ones who control banks, not us. Therefore, they can buy politicians, they can control the corporations, and they what? It's them we should pin the blame for all this mess in the world. People like them and politicians, basically. And obviously, excuse me, a bit cold. Suppose war breaks out and the respective governments in the country you live in, they say the shit's in the fan here, and they introduce draconian measures, wartime laws, emergency powers, and all that shit. I think some countries do have that legislation just in case of certain events which could compromise, you know, normal functions of society. And the fact is, when it comes to the draft, you haven't got much say in it. Even if you say, I evoke peace, they'll make you drive an ambulance, or stick you in a military warehouse, or drive military trucks. It doesn't matter really. And obviously, if you desert, there's no more the death penalty. Well, I think in times like that, I don't think they're going to keep people in prison for deserting. They're probably going to send them to the firing squad when it enacts those type of things. Even if they say, oh, lifetime in prison. Keep someone who's not useful in prison because they deserted is a waste of resources. You send them to the front or you execute them. That's what's going to happen. All these civilised bullshit laws, they'll disappear and they'll just impose tyrannic laws. And then the story. And you'll be fighting wars which it's got nothing to do with us. We haven't got even a dog in that fight. And all that stuff. And in America, this so-called automatic registration for the draft is an example I think everyone should keep an eye on. Say, oh, it's automatic, yes. It'll be automatic when they call you. Or probably be going around like in Ukraine, in vans. They pick you up and kidnap you from the street and throw you in. And within a few hours, you are at the battlefront. This could be a possibility. A scenario in such times of war, when the economy is dedicated to the war effort, everyone has to do their part, as so-called constitution spouts probably in every country. It's more or less in every nation, but it's written in different ways and probably expressed in different terms as well. So I don't think Europe's going to spend 800 billion euros for their defence pretty soon. They know they have to militarise because the Western economy is going tits up, and that goes as an example of the economy of America. Federal deficit's absolutely you know, beginning to be out of control. You can say technically they're bankrupt. This could be the same situation as Western countries in Europe. This is probably the motive nations go to war, because you can clean the slate, start from zero. everything's put aside, everyone's concentrated on the war effort. This is what's probably all about, what hides behind wars.